Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast, your go-to source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We hope you tune in often for all things people management, organizational development and change, organizational leadership, and social impact related. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with Human Capital Innovations Podcast. Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. In this HCI podcast episode, I talk with Tom Lawrence about how to become a highly effective leader in making the shift from manager to leader. Tom Lawrence, welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm so excited to have this conversation. We're going to be exploring your book, Manager to Leader, and really explore the characteristics and principles around highly effective and impactful leadership. You're joining us from the UK, so it's evening where you're at, it's morning where I'm at, and it's always fun to get international perspectives on these sorts of things. As we get started, I just wanted to share Tom's bio with everybody. There are hundreds of books that teach us how to be a leader. Most of them are good and teach the right things, but Tom Lawrence has seen very few that teach us how to influence our people or take our personal growth seriously, or even lead if you're not in a leadership position. Tom wants to change that by writing books for people who are interested in leading and inspiring others. He wants to help people who are not in a leadership position but are aspiring to become a leader, current managers who want to take the next step and become highly effective leaders, and to help senior leaders enhance their leadership skills. Tom began his career in 1999 as an apprentice mechanic engineer working for an automotive company in Liverpool, UK. After completing his apprenticeship, he was made redundant from that company and had to find other work. That is when he joined the rail industry, working for Merseyside's train operator. He worked there for 6 years, and during that time, he achieved his degree in mechanical engineering, his master's degree in maintenance engineering, and he started his first leadership role as a project manager in 2009. After leaving Liverpool in 2011, he has worked in Edinburgh, Glasgow, and London, where he currently lives. Tom became a chartered engineer in 2013 and is a mentor for new and upcoming engineers working towards their chartership. Working in these different cities, he has remained within the rail industry and led different types of engineering teams, learning it and practicing different leadership styles. You can find out more about Tom by visiting his website, www.highlyeffectiveleader.com, or by visiting his social media, his LinkedIn and such, and I'll share all of that in the show notes for you. So again, Tom, welcome to the podcast. A really interesting background with the mechanical engineering, automotive, and rail experience. That's not something I've had a lot of in terms of the guests on the podcast in the past. So I'm interested in hearing more about that, but I'm also, very interested in learning more about your book and exploring with you these topics around effective, impactful leadership and how we can help everyone to be effective leaders, regardless of job title, regardless of position and organizational hierarchy or anything like that. As we get started, anything else you would like to share by way of personal background, personal context, or anything to help the listeners know a little bit more about you?
No, I think you really basically covered it in that biog there. I just like everyone to know as well that, as well as books, I'm also putting together online courses, and I'm going to be speaking as well. But once this pandemic's going to be over, I'm going to start doing some speaking engagements as well, and try and get more involved in that too.
Wonderful. Well, I think that's great. And maybe we can start just with your current book.
Yeah.
I appreciate the work that goes into publishing a book like this, Manager to Leader. What inspired you to write the book? Why focus on helping managers make the adjustment to leaders? And let's explore that a little bit.
I got the idea for this type of book in about 2018. I was in a position, I was in an engineering technical manager's position at a company called Greater Anglia in London. It's a railway company, and basically it's like it's the deputy professional head of engineering role, really. And I was, the people who I was working with and the people who were working in my team, I could just, when I first started, I could see there was just something not there about them, and I thought, I felt it was my duty and my responsibility to do something about this. But I just found it really difficult because I couldn't at the time, I couldn't help get people to, or inspire people to sort of come along this journey with me and try and see if we can change how people are feeling. It was more just focused on get the job done and getting the numbers and business growth and all that stuff. It was never to do with the people. So I thought, well, I want to change this, not just for this job. I want to change it for me and for as many people as I can all over the world. So I'm gonna write down all these experiences that I've had over my life and my career, and I'm going to use this role that I've currently had at the time as the sort of the catalyst to get this book out. And then it was around that time that I thought of this idea that I was let go from this job. Well, actually, I resigned from the job, but I went on to a different job. So while I was doing this new job, I was writing this book, and it took me about, say, 6 months to write, and then getting everything else in place. And then once I'd finished the book, I thought, well, rather than just put the book out straight away, why don't I try and see if I can build like a blog, like a website of blog articles, like weekly blog articles, using similar types of experiences and like stories from what I'd got from the book. And I did, and that's what I did. And after about a year of doing that, it went really, really well. Got a lot of engagement from people all over the world. And then once I'd got to that level, I thought, right, now's the time to put the book out and sort of leverage it through the website and through everything that I've been doing on YouTube and on LinkedIn as well. And so on the 31st of Jan, so just about 2 weeks ago, I put the book out, and so far it's had a really good reception. So that was basically where the book came from.
Yeah, that's great.
And what the book is about. It's, as the title says, it's called Manager to Leader, and the subtitle is How to Become a Highly Effective Leader. So it's basically targeted at managers and supervisors and team leaders who are in the position, but they're not quite getting the leadership part of it yet. They're not quite focusing on the people. It's more to do with getting the job done, getting the whatever industry you're in, getting the job done, getting the numbers, getting the, being in the black at the end of the month, stuff like that, which is what most managers around the world focus on. They don't focus on the people. So this book is basically to help managers and supervisors to go beyond the position of manager to become the leader. And what the book is trying to help people realize is, now that you're in the position of manager, you are not in whatever industry you're in. If you're in the engineering industry, the fashion industry, whatever industry it might be, you're not in that industry anymore. You're in the people industry. You're in the people business. Your job is about people. It's the people's job to do the job. It's your job to help the people and lead the people. And that's basically what the book is trying to get. That's the message coming from the book, really, is to sort of help people realize that and do the things that will inspire their people to give their best for the cause and for the job and for the team. So basically that's the book, really.
That's wonderful. And I think that topic is a really important one. I do a lot of work in this space as well, and I often see a disconnect between, again, what you point out very aptly in your book title. There's a fundamental difference between being an effective manager and being an effective leader. Now, effective leaders need to do management things. They have to have management skills, so they need to do both. But an effective leader is all about leveraging the capacity of your people and your team, right? And being effective that way. And then, yes, you need to have some management skills, budget skills, and, those sorts of technical things that, to be able to carry out a function. But being a leader does not require a formal position, a formal title, spot in the hierarchy. Anyone can be a leader, even if they have no managerial responsibilities whatsoever. But certainly not all managers are leaders, and not all people, just because they have, just because they're an executive in a company, that doesn't mean they're a leader. They may think that they're a leader, but that doesn't mean they're actually being effective as a leader. So I think it's very important for us to consider the difference in approaches, the difference in focus and priority in those different types of roles. And I really love how you focus on making sure that everyone recognizes their potential as a leader. And it doesn't require, again, position or particular status. It also doesn't require a particular personality style. They're all different walks and types of effective leaders. And it tends to come back to their commitment and focus to their people, not whether they're charismatic, not whether, they're a great public speaker. Those things can help, but in and of themselves, they don't actually do anything to help you be an effective leader.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as you say, like you could be within the team, but you can still be a leader within that team, if you know what I mean. You don't have to have the title of manager or supervisor or team leader. If you have followers within the team, then you're a leader. And as you say, it's, there might be certain people in executive positions who think they're a leader, but it's not actually them who tell them that they're a leader. It's other people. If you have followers, then you're a leader. If you don't have followers, but you're in an executive position, then you're not a leader. That's basically it. And if people might follow you because they have to, like they follow but what they're following is the position. They're not following you as a person. Whereas a leader is all about the person, all about the character, all about who you are as a person. And
absolutely, I love that distinction. And what you just pointed out, the way I frame it is fear-based, right? A fear-based approach. Some would call it fear-based leadership. I don't think fear-based and leadership can go together. If you're using fear-based tactics to motivate people, they're doing it not because they want to follow you. It's because they're worried about their job, because they're worried about what you're going to do to their career. And that kind of an approach can produce outcomes. Using fear can get people to comply, and it can get them to do what you want them to do. But that kind of an approach only results in short-term types of accomplishments and performance. It never leads to long-term commitment and long-term sustainable, measurable performance and innovation, right? So if I want to be effective with my team, I have to make sure that I'm fostering a commitment-based, empowering type of leadership, and that's the sustainable type, and that's where people want to follow you. They choose to follow you because they know it's a win-win scenario, that you're going to help them and support them, and that's in turn going to improve your situation, your capacity, which in turn will help your leader look better and perform better.
Yeah, exactly. And that, I mean, it's another word for fear-based leadership is manipulation, isn't it? And that's, I've had that experience many a time. When you just mentioned before about my starting my career in 1999 as an apprentice a mechanical engineer, my apprentice supervisor was exactly like that. He used to threaten us, and sometimes he had me in tears, and that was how we were led. But as you say, that type of manipulation, or that type of leadership or management style, whatever you want to call it, can produce outcomes, but it can only produce outcomes for a matter of days. It won't, it's not a long term. You're not waking up the next day, can't wait to get to work. You're fearing going to work. You know what I mean? So it's as you say, it can produce an outcome, but nothing that an organization needs to sustain.
I'm excited to announce the
publication of my new book from HCI Press, The Alchemy of Truly Remarkable Leadership: Ordinary, Everyday Actions that Produce Extraordinary Results. Consider how the nature of work has shifted over the past 50 years. With increased globalization, rapid technological advancement, and the shift in economic composition, the average job of today looks very different than the average job of 50 years ago. What will the jobs and organizations of tomorrow look like? Moreover, what does this all mean for organizational leaders? What are the core competencies and capabilities of organizations and their leadership that are prepared for continued disruption and geopolitical and socioeconomic shifts? Regardless of what the future holds, increasingly, leaders need to be socially minded, data-driven, decisive, champions of talent, and disruptors of the traditional notions of leadership, teams, organizations, and work. The Alchemy of Truly Remarkable Leadership will help you to explore your own leadership competencies and capabilities and consider ways to apply and implement them into your workplace and personal life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely right. So let's talk a little bit more then about what you see in terms of leadership these days. We're in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's disrupted everything, but disruption isn't unique to the pandemic. We've seen, you know, shifting geopolitical and socioeconomic trends and disruptive innovations. There's been a lot of things that have been disrupting, and it's been changing, I think, the nature of the type of leader that we need for the future organization in order to be successful. So what do you see from your experience, and as you look into the future, how can aspiring leaders prepare for the future of work and be effective?
Well, I think with this at the moment we're in this pandemic, there's a lot of, well, you know, like a huge high percentage of people who are working from home nowadays, working remotely. I'm one of them, and I have a team of 9 engineers, and I haven't seen any of them for nearly a year. But I do speak to them every single day. I do Zoom calls with them like we are now. I do Microsoft Teams calls with them, and stuff like that, and phone them up, emails, all that type of thing. But one thing that leaders need to do right at the moment is everything all leaders know about leadership. We need to step it up. You know, we need to make sure that the people who are in our charge, who we are leading, you know, we don't want to be phoning them up in the morning asking how the work is going. We want to be phoning them up in the morning and asking, how are you? How are your family? You know, what can I do to help you today? You know, things like that. It's all about the person. And if a person feels cared for and feels heard and knows that you phone them up or Zoom called them for them, that will inspire the person to, you know, go to work and perform at his or her best for you and for him and for him and her, or for the team. So leaders these days, due to the pandemic, need to step it up and need to increase their effort in building relationships with the people, individually and as a team, building trust with the people. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have trust, you can't lead. Trust is the foundation of leadership in my eyes. And once you've got your relationship and your trust in place, you can start increasing your influence, and basically influence is leadership. So as I say, but because you're working remotely and you hardly see the people face to face anymore, it's going to take even more of an effort from the leader, not the people, the leader, to step it up and make sure that the level of leadership that you had before is either the same, if not more, than what it used to be. So I think that's what leaders these days need to do, is to put in more of an effort, not less of an effort. And it's got to be, as I say, more about the person rather than, you know, let's talk about the job all day, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right. And, you know, I've been predominantly working from home. I happen to be in my office at the moment. A couple days a week, I'll come into the office for, you know, part of the day, but mostly I'm working from home, and I'm not seeing people. I'm not seeing people in my team. I'm not seeing and having those face-to-face interactions, but I'm in meetings all the time, and I'm hopping on Zoom or team meetings. The question is it always business? Is it always work? Or are you demonstrating, finding a way to show that you care genuinely, that you're going to support your people? Because it's super easy to just go from meeting to meeting to meeting to conduct business and to never focus in on that individual person. And when we're all together in the workplace, sometimes that just happens organically, right? Because you're walking down, you stop by their office, you chat for a few minutes, you run into each other in the hallway, in the elevator, whatever. You have a conversation, you can talk about how they're doing. Now that has to be more deliberate. And I think a lot of managers aren't doing that. Not because they don't care, but because they're not being as purposeful, as deliberate in trying to create those types of opportunities. So it's just a healthy reminder that we always need to be looking for those chances to have that meaningful, authentic, one-on-one connection with our people, in addition to team meetings, functional meetings, whatever we have to do, just to do the business of what we do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this pandemic has made me, probably yourself and a lot more leaders around the world, realize just how sort of much we were taken for granted when it came to leadership. And as you say, walking past people in the corridor, seeing them in their office, it was normal everyday things that we could do. But at the moment, we can't do those things. So that's why we need to, as you say, we need to be a lot more deliberate and put in that extra effort to sustain that level of leadership we had before, or increase it. To make sure that, as you say, we're here to care. We need to show our people that we care for them, not just tell them. We need to, as you say, we need to sort of make them feel like they are cared for, not just like say it in a few words and then do nothing all day. Don't speak to them for the rest of the day, or follow through on what you were gonna say you were gonna do and stuff like that. And it does need these days, as you say, that extra effort from the leader to make sure that his or her people are in a good place.
Yeah, and to your point, in what you were just sharing, as well as what you said a few minutes ago, I think the trust component is so important, and you have to follow through. So because then, even just regardless of your best intentions, if you say you're going to do something and you don't follow through, or you say you care about your team member and that you're going to follow up with them to see how they're doing, and then you don't follow through, then the trust erodes and they don't see it as authentic, even if it was, like, even if you really did have that intention. So we just have to be very, I always think under promise, over deliver, right? Like, make sure that we're always doing more than what we say we're going to do, so that we don't erode that trust, and help people to feel confident in what our attempts are. And if we do make a misstep, as happens because we're all human, then we just need to make sure that we are proactive about correcting it as quickly as possible, and not just assume everyone's okay with us, failing to do whatever we said we were going to do. So I think that's important. So I'm wondering, one of the things I know you explore is in relation to this, being an effective leader, the kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly. You've shared a couple examples of probably the ugly, the bad leader, or the bad manager, someone who basically used fear-based tactics, someone who's bringing their people to tears. Obviously, that's not, the empowering, commitment-based leader that we're striving for. But do you have any examples of maybe just an excellent leader that you've interacted with in the past? And what was it about that person that made them so exceptional?
When I first joined the rail industry, as you spoke about earlier, I had an engineering director, whose name was Kevin. He came in sort of about 6 months after I'd started there. I was only about 22 at the time, and I could just tell by his demeanor and his presence that he was a leader. And he was just inspirational. He was just like a naturally inspirational person. When you spoke to him, he listened to you. He used to say to me, when I talk to my people, I try to listen 80% of the time and talk 20% of the time. when he has his one-to-ones, and because I remember asking him about setting up a one-to-one with someone, and that was his advice. Make sure you do most of the listening. You're not there to do most of the talking. And I was like, oh, right, I didn't realize that. I actually thought it was the other way around at the time. But for me, what he did for me was just exceptional, because the engineering director before him was a Dutch lady, and she was really good. But I went to her with the proposal of me going to university through the company. And then once I'd finished my degree, I would stay on and I would do certain things to return that investment. But she didn't agree with me, and she didn't let me do it. But within a few weeks of Kevin joining us, he signed it off and said, right, there you go, you're going to university. This is what I see in you. And he told me exactly what he saw in me. And I didn't even believe it myself until I went to university and did the things that he recommended I did, which was to not have my own team, but become one of those leaders within the team. Like someone who, he didn't have the job title, he didn't have the authority or anything like that, but that doesn't mean you can't lead people. And he was the one who basically who taught me these types of things, and I'm still in touch with him today. He now is based in London, but I haven't seen him for a couple of years. But I'm still in touch, online and stuff. But he was basically the first person in my engineering career who gave me that boost and said, right, this is what I think this is what I see in you, basically. And he believed in me, and because he believed in me, it helped me believe in myself, and I've believed in myself ever since. So he was like the example. But when I use the word example, the sort of the principle that he lived by was leading by example. As you were just saying before, under promising, over delivering, if you know what I mean. Not under promising, like promising and over delivering. And that's what he did. He talked the talk, but he also walked the walk, which is what you were alluding to before. And once I saw him be like that, I wanted to follow him without him asking me or anything like that. It was just all off my own accord, and everyone else within the team did as well. So once I got into my first leadership positions, I had an example, to a role model to work towards, for someone to sort of try and be like, and I still try and be like that today. So I'm quite lucky to have worked with Kevin and learned all these leadership skills and leadership principles from him.
That's wonderful. There's so much in that example that I really love. But one of the things that you said that I think just really stuck out to me the most was that he helped you develop your confidence in yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the mark of a truly great leader. They see the potential in their people, and then they help them to rise to the occasion and achieve that potential. And a lot of times your team, especially if they're younger or they're starting off in their career, a lot of times they don't have a lot of confidence because they haven't experienced a lot of things yet. And so giving them a hand up, helping them to develop that confidence, have some small wins, and then grow into themselves, I think that's the mark of a really great leader. And it sounds like, that's what you experienced. What a great example. Well, Tom, it has been a real pleasure talking with you today. We're about to the end of our time together, but before we close, I did want to give you a chance to share with listeners how they can get connected with you, find out more about your book and other work that you're doing, and then you can give us the last word on the topic for today.
Yeah, but as you said earlier, my website is www.highlyeffectiveleader.com. I'm on LinkedIn as well. My name's Tom Lawrence. You can catch me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me. I'll always accept. And my YouTube channel is called Leadership and Growth. There's about 36 videos on there so far. I was posting one once a week, but I'm taking some time to work on a few other projects at the moment, as well as publishing my book 2 weeks ago. So I've not posted a video for a couple of weeks, but I will be getting back to the YouTube videos soon. And I think for the final word on leadership is the 3 pillars that I live by are leadership, influence, and personal growth. and all three of them intertwine within each other. Leadership basically is influence, and personal growth, even though it's all about being personal and growing, it's about helping others to grow as well. And that's what all leadership is about, is helping others with their personal growth so that they can help others with their personal growth. And that's basically my why, is to develop aspiring and current managers into highly effective leaders so that they can develop aspiring and current managers into highly effective leaders and create that snowball effect. And the just cause that I live by as well is, I see a world where our leaders create environments that focuses on their people so that they can lead, grow, and increase their influence.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you, Tom. It has been a real pleasure talking with you today. I encourage listeners to reach out, get connected with Tom, check out his book, find out more about what he can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
We are excited about the launch of HCI's new magazine, Human Capital Leadership. Human Capital Leadership is a free, interactive e-magazine designed to help individuals, leaders, and organizations find innovative approaches to maximize their human capital potential. We will be publishing issues quarterly in August, November, February, and May. Check out the first issue and let us know what you think. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. I hope you stay healthy and safe and that you have a great week.